Booth, Ryan Reynolds, he's such a dick.
Welcome to Movie Night with the Boys.
Hi, I'm John,
And I'm Zach.
and we're Movie Night with the Boys. We're a weekly podcast where we discuss movies. This week, we're going to talk about 2021's Red Notice, um, starring Dwayne Johnson as John Hartley, Ryan Reynolds as Nolan Booth. Is it Gal Gadot or Gal Gadot?
I think it's Godot.
I think it's Gadot. Gal Gadot is the bishop. And then I mentioned three supporting cast members. Well, two and a cameo. Ritu Arya as Inspector Das, and Chris Diamantopoulos as Sotto Voce. And then I mentioned, of course, the 1 30-second cameo from Ed Sheeran because he's a big name. I didn't know this until I looked it up, but Ritu Arya, the Inspector Das, she was Lila Pitts in the Umbrella Academy, and I never put that together. The synopsis of the movie confused me, and I don't really agree with it. It's in the world of international crime, an Interpol agent attempts to hunt down and capture the world's most wanted art thief. And I feel like that just kind of glosses over the truth of the movie.
It's a
But
synopsis. It's not supposed to tell you the movie.
yeah, I don't know, but I don't know. It just feels like it's off from what it should have said. But that's why you're going to tell us about it.
The movie starts out kind of telling you the love story between Cleopatra and Mark Antony and about the 3 jeweled eggs that he gifted to her.
Hmm.
And throughout the ages, only 2 of the eggs were found, and the third egg was never like covered. So we see like it kind of zooms out and you see it's like a documentary type thing playing on a TV, and zooms out and we see somebody 3D printing and making like kind of like a replica of the jewel
Hmm.
egg. So and then he gets ready and basically he sees Reynolds, right? Then we cut and get to the title card.
Hmm.
Then we see, it kind of gives a description of what Red Notice is. Red Notice stands for the highest level of arrest warrant issued by Interpol, reserved for the world's most wanted criminals, right? Um, yeah, I guess realistically, I didn't know what Red Notice really meant, to be
I
honest. So,
feel like that's a
mm,
commonplace in this situation.
yeah, so I'll take the description. So we cut to Rome, and 3 cars are zooming down this like little tiny bridge, and when they get to like the museum, you see uh Hartley and Agent Doss, and they jump out of the car and they start, talking about, oh, how do you know it's today? And Buddy's like, it's a hunch. So they go inside and they're looking at the egg, and the Rock grabs like this like thermo scanner thing, and he scans the room, and then there's no heat signature coming off the egg, so he's like, that's a fake. He grabs some kid's soda, pours it on the egg melts, and we see it's a fake. They go they lock down the museum, and Ryan Reynolds essentially is in the room, and so he goes and takes off, and The Rock follows after him. And essentially they just have this, it's a pretty cool chase scene. And yeah, so The Rock catches up with Ryan Reynolds. They have this whole, you know, back and forward, and then Doss shows up and kind of gives Ryan Reynolds the opportunity to try and escape, and The Rock ends up just tackling him out a window, right? So they're both like dangling off the edge of the building, and Ryan Reynolds kind of jumps through a chute, gets away, jumps on a moped, and starts like riding off. The Rock finds a ladder, crawls down the ladder,
Hmm.
and then he gets into like what was it? It was like a super
I think it was like a Porsche or something like that. It was
some kind
a
of
fancy car.
nice fancy car, yeah. And so he starts it up, and I'm like, oh, and then he goes and he drives about 3 feet and gets fucking T-boned.
A gelati truck. By of
Yeah.
all things, a gelati truck.
What the hell is a
I,
gelati?
I'm assuming it's something that's Rome, but it said gelati on the side of the truck. Gelati, rich ice cream.
Is that a brand?
No, it says what it is. Gelati definition meeting. Italian cookery, a rich ice cream made with eggs and usually containing a relatively low percentage of butterfat.
And basically Ryan Reynolds gets away.
Yes, he did. Did you notice how tight The Rock's turtleneck was?
No, not really.
It
Really.
was cutting off the circulation to my head. I don't know how he was wearing that thing without choking. That shit was tight. Trivia for you. When Ryan Reynolds there was climbing up the scaffolding, when the guard grabbed his tie and the clip fell off and he fell off the side, he used a scream that's been through all kinds of movies. Do you know what that scream's called?
The Hellstrom scream.
The Wilhelm scream. Pretty
Well,
good.
yeah, close enough.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And one last thing that kind of confused me. Why did The Rock let him just walk a 180 around towards the exit in that little back and forth?
Well, because I don't think you would assume that somebody's gonna jump out the window.
No, but he backed around to where he was placed, like in the
Oh,
doorway.
towards the exit, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
That was kind of dumb.
Well, I mean, it makes more sense later on in the movie, but
Yeah,
yeah. So
yeah, that's a fair point.
we cut to Bali where we see Booth is riding a boat towards, I guess, his house, which is on a beach in Bali. And he gets inside, he puts his stuff down, pours himself a drink, and boom, Hartley says something, and Hartley's sitting on the couch having a drink, right?
Super creepy.
Yeah, and then, Booth is like, "What the hell?" And, after this whole spiel, Doss shows up with Interpol. They grab him, they book him, and they get the egg back, right? So they take him outside, and Hartley says, "How does it feel to be betrayed by the best, art thief?" And he's like, "I'm the best art thief." And he's like, "You were." And so from there, we find out like Bishop is the one who betrayed Booth, I guess, or snitched on him. So then The Rock, puts the egg in the back of the truck, and they separate Booth and the egg. And we see The Rock, like Hartley's going to get into the truck, and the guy's like, "Hey, the door's open. Go close the door." The Rock's like, "What the hell?" So he heads back, and we see this chick is kind of like, stealing the egg. And so when the Rock gets back there, she's basically hiding on the side, and they do that whole stupidness. So the egg was stolen. Then they drive away, and we see Gal Gadot like walk. She takes off her mask, and we see that it's Gal Gadot, right?
Yeah, so I have a question about that's plagued me now, and maybe you can shed some light. When she was on the side of the van hiding, out of sight of the Rock there, she was
Mhm.
clearly in sight of the mirror.
Of the driver.
Yeah, like there's no way that mirror didn't have her staring right back at him.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think the driver was really looking out the side. He could have been on his phone
Yeah,
waiting
that's true.
for Hartley to get
That's
back
true.
in the car. All right, so we pick up at a hotel bar where Hartley is drinking, and Doss rolls up and tells him the egg's fake, right? Tells him there was an $8 million transfer to one of his offshore accounts, right? She said you did it. She arrests him, and as they're hauling him off, we see the egg on the ground, and there's a little stamp of a chess piece of like a bishop, right? Then we cut to Russia, and we see Hartley being, led to his cell. They open up the doors, put him inside, and boom, we find out Booth is his, cellmate. So then we
Yeah,
cut to
that was fun irony.
yeah. So we cut to mealtime, and they're sitting there talking about how he was set up, and yada yada. And basically they were like, okay, so the bishop set me up, took me out, took out her biggest competition, and basically Booth kind of explains to Hartley why they were stealing the egg, right? Some super rich dude wants to give the eggs to his daughter, whose name is Cleopatra. So they discuss the location of the second egg, and Booth basically tells Hartley it's, some mobster dude, in, I don't know, Italy somewhere, has the egg, and he's gonna steal it.
Just say Booth is such a dick.
I mean, I guess. So basically, Booth goes and outs Hartley as a cop, and this, I don't know, tattooed dude walks up, tells him he's gonna kill Hartley, pours his porridge on his lap twice. Hartley gets up and proceeds to get his ass kicked, and then the guards come in. So we cut back to them in their cell, and Hartley's like, if you ever do that shit again, fuck you up. And basically the guards come in, grab them, take them to the captain. I don't know why he's the captain and not like the warden, but they take the two of them to the captain, and then we see Gal Gadot sitting in the captain's chair. So they're like, oh, what the hell? So basically Bishop is Gal Gadot, and she offers Ryan Reynolds 10% if if he tells her where the third egg is, and he says no. So she's like, all right, cool, fuck off, and then leaves. And she's like, I'll come back once I get the second egg, and then the next offer I'll give you will only be for 5%. So we cut back to Booth and Hartley, and they're outside, stacking rocks. I'm assuming they're like repairing the wall. And you see Ryan Reynolds like wedge this tiny little rock very specifically in a spot. And so they're chatting up. So they agree to work together, and basically we get a bunch of cut scenes of them talking about the plan, how they're going to escape and everything. And I guess it seems like the night right before they're going to escape, they're sitting in bed, and we kind of find out Ryan Reynolds' daddy issues. That's why he became a thief, right? His dad was obsessed uh like with this watch, right? So we cut to them like in the laundry room. They make a bomb. They blow up a washing machine, causing a distraction for them to be able to essentially fight a whole bunch of Russian guards and get outside to the courtyard where Ryan Reynolds, pulls this little rock, and like a whole section of the wall falls down. So they escape, and they scale the side of the wall, and Ryan Reynolds jumps in a helicopter, and The Rock, he's beating up some more guards, kind of giving Ryan Reynolds time to start the helicopter up. And basically, somebody pulls out a rocket launcher and just starts shooting missiles. So he blows up the bridge, and The Rock falls down, and Ryan Reynolds kind of shoots everybody with the machine guns on the chopper, and The Rock climbs up and jumps into the plane, and they are about to get shot with the rocket launcher, and The Rock decides to open up the other door, so the rocket just goes right through the helicopter and just blows up on the mountain, and they fly away. So we cut to London, and Bishop's got a guy strapped to a chair, and she's talking to him like he's like a therapist, but I mean he's a FBI analyst or something like that. and she tells him, "Oh, I need to do it from here, so it's untraceable." So we see her sending a message to Doss telling her that those two escaped from the Russian prison. So now Doss is now back out on the hunt.
Mhm.
We cut back to Booth and Hartley meeting up with one of Booth's, I guess, like friends or contacts, right?
Yep.
And so they get on this private jet and they change their clothes, and you know how Ryan Reynolds is, gives Hartley some
Such a dick. He's such a dick.
says like stupid clothes. So they change their clothes and they go over the plan, and then next thing we jump to Valencia, to the mansion where the second egg is located, right? The two of them are in the house. They set out on their plan, which gets interrupted by the bishop, like Hartley seeing Bishop. So he goes over and he starts talking to her, and then they start dancing, and the host, the gangster dude, kind of,
Sottovoce.
yeah, I don't know what his name is, and I don't care. He comes over and he interrupts them dancing, and he gives basically Hartley the opportunity to steal his phone, which they needed to get into the vault. So now that they have what they need, they go. Yeah. So Booth and Hartley progress with the plan, and they get down to the vault. And just before they're about to go in, Doss shows up, and Hartley kind of tricks her, knocks the gun away, and they kind of go and lock themselves in the vault. Right.
Mhm.
At this point, I don't quite understand what happened to Doss. Right? Like, did she just leave? Like, why wasn't she there when all the security guards came through? But so basically, they unlock the door. It triggers an alarm in the security room. So now security's on that there's something going on in the vault. So with them in the vault, they're like, "Yes, we got it." And then all of a sudden, Bishop comes out and she's like, "Nice, now I have the egg." And they're like, "Yeah, I don't think so." And they're like, she's like, "Take it from me." And so she proceeds to beat the crap out of both of them, which I was like, it's pretty fucking hilarious. So she
When she picked up that spear, right? I immediately was waiting for the Wonder Woman theme music to kick on.
yeah, well, wrong franchise, but
I know, but it's felt right.
yeah. So basically, she beats them up, and then security guys and the host, he shows up again, and if we find out that she kind of set them up again. And so the guards come and knock them out, and they end up waking up chained together.
Mhm. Mhm.
So she starts torturing Hartley to try and get the location of the third egg from Booth, and Booth is like, "Yeah, do it. Do it. I mean, don't do it. Like, he's my best friend. Don't do it. Don't do it." Meanwhile, he doesn't really care.
No fucks.
And so basically that host dude, the mafiosa guy, whatever, he kind
Sottovoce.
yeah, he's like, "All right, enough of this." And then he goes and he starts choking Hartley, and I guess that kind of breaks Booth, and so Booth ends up saying the eggs in Egypt, right?
Yeah, Egypt and
So
the pyramid with Cleopatra or some shit.
yeah, so then she ends up poisoning. Fuck, I don't know what his
Sottovoce.
he's got a stupid ass name, and I don't care to say it. Okay. So
Sottovoce.
so she ends up poisoning the guy, and he passes out, and she tells him, "All right, see you later, dickheads," and leaves him, kind of chained together on this pole. And she bounces, and then all of a sudden the guy just springs up out of nowhere like a fucking zombie, and he tries to shoot them, but he's all groggy and stuff. I guess he's all fucked up anyways.
It was so fucked up.
So then the Rock kind of knocks him out, and you know then he goes to leave, and he leaves like Booth there, And Booth's like, "Come on, you need me." And then he tells him that he lied about the location, right? So Hartley lets him, like, gets him out, and they go to leave, and then all of a sudden, the fucking guy springs up again, right? Like, that guy's fucking weird, man.
He's immortal.
Yeah. So they're escaping, and they come out in the middle of like a bullfight, right? And they have this whole back and forward where, they were saying, "Oh, bulls have bad sight," and the Rock, like, Hartley's like, "You're talking about Jurassic Park," and he's like, "I'm not talking about Jurassic Park." He's like, "Is Jeff Goldblum in it?" He's like, "I was talking about Jurassic Park," right? So he's like, "Run, run, run, run," and then the bull just smokes the Rock, which is fucking hilarious. He just gets smoked
Also,
by a bull.
the bull must have been like a baby or something because the Rock got up.
Well, I mean, he's the Rock,
I
so
know, but goddamn, that bull was aggressive.
it was pretty funny,
It
right?
was.
So so boom, they get out of there and they go and they jump on a train, essentially. So while we're on the train, we get a little bit of Hartley's backstory and how he has daddy issues. So they tells him that, we're pretty similar. You know what I mean? Like, your dad was a cop, so you became a crook. My dad was a crook, so I became a cop, right? So they have a little bonding moment, and Booth finally decides to tell Hartley where the third egg is actually located, somewhere in the middle of Argentina, right?
In some Nazi bunker.
Right. We find out that Booth's dad was obsessed with the treasure, and that same watch that that was more important than Booth turned out to have the location of where the treasure was, right?
Hmm.
We cut to Argentina. Booth and Hartley cut through the jungle, and they end up finding the bunker, like, in the middle of the jungle. So
An
they
inch
enter.
of dirt. Under an inch of dirt.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't hidden that well, you know. So they head inside and they find a fuckload of like ancient relics and treasure and a couple old Nazi vehicles, one of Hitler's Mercedes, bulletproof Mercedes and
The
everything.
Gloucester 770.
Something like that, yeah. So they find the egg and Booth ends up actually dropping it when he pulls it out.
It's so comical. Just oh shit. Oops.
Oh, oh, not a scratch. We're good. We're good. And basically the bishop shows up and they're chatting, and then boom, all of a sudden DOS and Interpol show up, or DOS and some kind of Argentinian military, right? And a whole gunfight like starts. So they go and
Hmm.
they jump in like Hitler's Mercedes and they start driving out of the tunnel, and they end up basically just driving after like this pretty dope ass like car fight scene. They end up driving straight out of like a waterfall, crash the car, they all get out, and Booth's on land, and he's like, "Oh, nobody else is around." So he's like, "All right, I'm going to leave." And he ends up coming back and looking for Hartley, and he goes back on the beach, and then all of a sudden Bishop comes out of the water, and Booth is like, "Haha, how does it feel to lose to me?" Right? So then at this point, we find out that Hartley and the Bishop were working together, and the whole thing was a setup for Ryan Reynolds, or Booth, to lead them to the third egg. So basically, they take the egg from Ryan Reynolds, they handcuff him to a tree, and then they leave him in the jungle, essentially.
Hmm.
So then we cut to Cairo, and we see the bishops. There they gave the eggs. They got their 300 million for the three eggs, right? I guess
Hmm.
100 million per egg, and all of a sudden, I'm assuming they called Interpol on them, right? So Interpol shows up and arrests everybody, and this is the scene that Ed Sheeran's in, and
Hmm.
Ed Sheeran starts like swinging his guitar around. He's like, "I'm Ed Sheeran, bitch." right? It's pretty
Game
funny.
of Thrones.
Yeah. So then from there we end up cutting to Sardinia. I have no idea where that is.
Mm, somewhere in some other country.
Yeah, but so we see the bishops and they're getting back on the boat after a swim, and all of a sudden you hear Booth's voice, and Booth kind of pulls a reversal of what Hartley did to him earlier in the movie,
Yep.
right? And he tells them that, oh yeah, okay, so Interpol took all your money, so you guys don't have any more money, and I have a new job, and it's a three thief job. So he's like, if you guys don't accept, Interpol will be here very, very soon. So they accept. We see Interpol show up to the boat. Everybody's gone,
Hmm.
right? So then we cut to Doss in her office, and now she's putting red notice stamps on all three of their files, making them the most wanted criminals, you know.
Hmm.
Then we cut back to the three of them in Paris, and they're like, "Yeah, let's get it started." And then they walk off, and the camera panels out, and boom, end credits.
Yep. Boom.
And that's Red Notice.
I have a couple of things that I would like to say before we progress. When they were going down into the bunker, do you remember the Casper movie from the 90s?
Yeah,
The staircase looked like the stairs that they used to go down to the basement in Casper.
I mean they were pretty generic.
It just
I
kind
don't
of
know.
it gave me the same vibe.
I guess I don't know.
Um, that car, all those cars, uh, no chance in hell they were starting.
No,
No chance in hell they were starting.
no,
And
definitely not.
did you happen to catch at the end there when Booth was talking to them on the boat about how all the money was gone and blah blah blah? How he made a Vin Diesel joke.
No, what did he say?
I can't remember, but it's something like Vin Diesel and a monkey or something. I don't remember,
Oh, it
but
was. Oh yeah, it was a Vin Diesel audition tape. I can't remember for what, but
the fact that The Rock and Vin Diesel have a bad relationship and that Ryan Reynolds just made a Vin Diesel joke out like that, just hilarious. So Zach, did you like it?
I enjoyed it. I mean, for my second watch through, it was kind of hard not seeing all the foreshadowing, like the way The Rock spoke, all the kind of cues and stuff. Um, it was hard to not like because I knew he was the bad guy, right? So, but yeah,
Yeah,
all in all, it was a good movie. I enjoyed it. It's hard to watch something like this, it's hard to watch movies that have twists like that multiple times because you already know, you know.
yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I enjoyed it. What about you?
I said the same thing. I liked it. Same thing on the second watch through. You can tell kind of all the signs that kind of say, "Hey, he's not really a cop." Like the fact that he was willing to shoot at people was a big sign after the fact. All the other things, like he just was kind of relentless. Um, but yeah, I enjoyed it, and the way that it ended, I'm looking forward to a sequel.
For sure. So, with that being said, that takes us to the good, the bad, and the.
Meh.
I guess since this is my movie, I'll go with my good. Um, Basically, just cuts back to all that like foreshadowing. That's like watching it back. I'm like, damn, bro, they fucking told us straight up that he was the bad guy the whole time,
Mhm.
and yeah, I I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I like all the foreshadowing. What about you?
Good call. I love Ryan Reynolds being Ryan Reynolds, and as usual, he's Ryan Reynolds, and it's good usually, but I really enjoy when he banters against The Rock. It just seems so. I don't know. He seems like small compared to The Rock, like a lot smaller, and then he just says what he says relentlessly.
Yeah,
I find it to be a very enjoyable aspect of their relationship.
I mean, yeah. It was kind of the same way, like in what was it, Hobbs and Shaw, right? So,
Yeah, I
but
agree.
yeah. So, what was your meh?
I would have to say Inspector Das. I know that she had a part, but she could have been just a generic inspector that they brought in later, and they could have worked around her being part of the story overall. I guess the main basis of it being her trying to arrest them, sure, but it kind of just took away from other parts of the story to have her scenes somewhere in the middle sometimes didn't need to be there. So
There was only one scene that didn't need her to be there, and that was when they got into that vault. All the rest of it, I didn't have any problem with her being around. Like that.
problem with her.
Yeah, but you're saying that that's your meh, like her that she could not be in the movie and it wouldn't have mattered. But like you needed that fucking cop to keep them on their toes, to be following them, to show up and interrupt all their plans and whatnot, to cause conflict.
I don't know, maybe I just wanted someone better to do it, I suppose.
But to do what? Like, regardless of who played the role, it would have been the same shit. It would have she been showing up at certain times, shooting at them, or holding the gun up. Um, but yeah, so my meh, honestly, I didn't have a meh, right? I don't know. I enjoyed it, so I didn't really have a meh.
I am very, very pleased to hear that. I had a dig for something. I didn't necessarily, like I said, I didn't dislike. The point of the mez because I didn't dislike, but I also just didn't need.
Yeah, but
Anyways,
the part
not
yeah, yeah.
yeah, not to retread, not to retread. So what about your bad?
My bad was that fucking Italian guy or whatever. I don't even.
Sottovoce.
Yeah, fuck that guy. I didn't care for him. What about you?
Him to a degree. It was more specifically, I hated his voice. I wrote down how his voice was like a definite combination of Dumbledore and Gandalf, and that's the best way I can describe his voice. We have come here today to party for me. Like
It
he
makes
was just. So next week, because I believe now it's time to let people know what we're doing next week, because it's what we do. We're gonna keep this Ryan Reynolds train rolling, and we're gonna watch Six Underground. I'm not sure what year that came out. I believe that one's 2019, but it might be 2020. We'll find that out and tell everyone next week. And so, with that, we'd like to give a shout out to the Dynamic Duel podcast, whom of which we have found our way from. You can check them out on podcast platforms of your choice, as well as here on YouTube. Where else can we find them, Zach?
you can find them on all social media at Dynamic Duel and their website has links to all of their platforms, all their social media, all their streaming platforms. So yeah, check them out, dynamicduel.com.
And speaking of social media, you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Well, TikTok soon. I'm not quite there yet. I've got the account made, but nothing has been put up yet. But it's coming soon. But in the meantime, you can find us on Instagram at MNWTB Podcast, on Twitter at MNWT Boys, and as I mentioned on TikTok at MNWTB Pod. And where else can we be found, Zach? I think it's just those three right now, right?
I believe so. I'm in the process of making the Facebook. Um, I'm also in the middle of creating our gaming channel.
Ooh, gaming.
Yeah. So we'll be doing live streams and just, live commentary or, just us playing video games with our buddies. So,
Yep.
yeah. And yeah,
Yep.
once I get that all set up, I'll let you guys know. So, yeah, so don't forget to like, subscribe, follow the pod, and
Share with your
yeah,
friends.
yep, let other people know. So, with that being said, our guest from last week, Dustin, actually decided to start his own podcast. So, we'll be running the ad for that at the end of this. So,
Yep. And their podcast is called What in the Anime?
yep. And you can find them on all social media platforms. They should have an episode or two out by now. So, yeah. So, with that being said, it's been real, John.
It has been real, Zach. Deuces.
Deuces. This movie's fucking ridiculous.
Welcome to What in the Anime, your weekly anime podcast. Now, here's your hosts in 3, 2, 1.
Hi, I'm Dustin.
And I'm Tyler.
Join us each week as we talk anime,
From news,
to reviews,
hot takes,
and everything in between.
we will cover seasonal animes as they wrap up and are announced.
We will give them our loved, hated, or whatever rating.
And we will let you know if we drop one that is just simply bad.
We will discuss our
What in the anime was that?
moments.
You can also follow us on Twitch to talk anime or hang out while we play some games.
Now let's go plus ultra.
Oh, yeah, you ruined it there at the end.
You're just no fun.